Mark worked quietly in the huge alien embassy. He had been a janitor here for years, cleaning floors, polishing metal walls, and keeping the halls free of dust. Most nights were quiet. The aliens rarely noticed him, and that was fine. He liked the calm. Tonight, though, was different. Tonight, his son Leo had followed him to work. Leo was small and curious, with wide eyes that seemed to see more than a human child should. He sat in the corner with a sketchbook, drawing strange shapes that looked almost like the machines and lights around them. Mark smiled at him but warned him to stay still. The embassy was enormous, with high ceilings and long corridors filled with glowing panels. The walls reflected light in strange colors that changed as people walked past. Mark had cleaned here many times, but he had never felt small until now. He had grown used to the presence of the aliens, tall and shimmering, with soft voices and long hands. They moved gracefully like dancers. But tonight, the sound of approaching steps made him pause. These steps were heavier, faster, full of authority. The doors at the far end of the hall opened with a hiss. Guards rushed inside, their armor gleaming under the lights. They moved in perfect formation, eyes scanning everything. Mark froze. He had never seen anyone like them. Then the doors opened again and the alien queen entered. The guard stepped back immediately, bowing low. Mark had heard stories about the alien queen. In his species, queen was a title, not a gender. He was the ruler of a great alien empire, and even his guards treated him with fear and respect. The queen walked slowly down the hall, his glowing robes brushing the floor. His eyes were bright like twin stars, and they seemed to look right through Mark. Then the queen stopped. He froze, staring at Leo. Mark followed his gaze and felt a chill run down his spine. Leo was sitting cross-legged, holding his sketchbook tightly, his pencil paused in midair. The child looked up, confused, and smiled shyly. The queen's voice was soft but full of shock. "She looks like my dead daughter," he said. Mark's heart skipped a beat. He had heard the words but could not understand them. Leo tilted his head, unsure what dead daughter meant. The queen's hands trembled slightly. He leaned closer, his eyes studying Leo with an intensity that made Mark feel both nervous and worried. The guards looked tense. They had never seen the queen act this way. One of them whispered something, but the queen waved him off. He ignored everyone except Leo. Mark stepped forward slowly. He's just a child," he said, his voice small. "He's my son." He didn't mean to. The queen held up a hand. "I know," he said, voice soft. "I will not harm him." His eyes did not leave Leo. He knelt down to be closer to the child's level. The glow in his eyes softened. He asked Leo gently, "Did anyone show you this?" Leo shook his head and pointed to his sketchbook. On the page was a drawing of a small glowing cradle floating in space, with tiny shapes inside. Leo said, "I saw it in a dream. It called me." The queen's hands tightened and he whispered, "It is her cradle, my child's cradle." His voice was almost a whisper, trembling with emotion. Mark felt something inside him shift. He had cleaned the floors of this embassy for years and never thought he would see a moment like this. The queen spoke again, this time to Mark. "Your son, he has a connection. Something rare. I can feel it." Mark shook his head. "I don't understand. He's just a boy. He draws pictures. He dreams. That's all." "No," the queen said, shaking his head. "This is more. This is a memory echo. My child, lost long ago, left me in sorrow. And now, through your son, I feel her again." Leo looked up at him. "She was sad?" he asked simply. "Yes," said the queen. "And she wanted someone to hear her." He looked at Mark. "Your son heard her. That is why I am here." Mark swallowed. His son had always been quiet, thoughtful, and full of imagination, but he never imagined that Leo could touch the heart of a galactic ruler. What do you want from us?" he asked cautiously. The queen stood slowly. His expression was serious but not threatening. "I wish only to understand this connection. I wish to protect him and to honor her memory. Will you allow me to examine your son?" Mark hesitated. He did not know if he could trust a being so powerful, yet something in the queen's eyes seemed honest. He looked at Leo, who simply nodded, curious and calm. Mark finally said, "You can, but I go with him." The queen studied Mark for a moment, then nodded. "Very well. You will come." His voice was deep, resonant, and full of respect. The guards moved aside, and the queen led them down a long corridor to a room filled with glowing rings and strange machines. Mark glanced at his son, who clutched his sketchbook and followed quietly. The halls seemed to hum with energy. For the first time, Mark felt that his simple life had changed forever. And he knew that tonight nothing would ever be the same. Mark followed the alien queen down the corridor. The walls glowed softly, reflecting colors that shifted with every step. Leo walked beside him, holding his sketchbook tightly. He was quiet, but his eyes were wide with curiosity. The janitor could feel the tension in the air. Even though the queen had promised not to harm them, Mark could sense the power radiating from him. They entered a large room filled with strange machines. Rings floated in the air, glowing faintly. Panels projected symbols and colors that seemed alive. The queen gestured toward a platform in the center. "Step forward," he said gently to Leo. "This will not hurt you. I only wish to see the connection." Leo hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Mark held his hand tightly, giving him courage. The queen watched them closely, his eyes filled with a mixture of awe and sadness. "Your son," he said to Mark, "has something rare. A resonance, a memory echo. It is not common in any species. It is the echo of a soul lost, reaching out across space." Mark frowned. "Memory echo? What do you mean?" The queen kneeled next to Leo, pointing to the floating rings. "Long ago I lost my child. The emotions, the last thoughts of my daughter, they remained in the universe. Sometimes a rare mind can hear them. Your son heard her." Leo tilted his head. "I heard someone?" he asked softly. "Yes," the queen said. "Someone who needed help. Someone who wanted to be remembered." His eyes glimmered. "Your son's mind responded to her. That is why I saw him first. That is why I stopped." Mark tried to understand. He had always thought his son was normal. Quiet, creative, and kind, yes. But a bridge between worlds? A link across the stars? It seemed impossible. Yet, looking at the queen, he could feel the truth in the alien's words. There was grief there, deep grief, and hope hidden beneath it. The queen moved closer to the platform. A soft glow surrounded Leo. The rings floated gently around him. "Do you feel it?" the queen asked. Leo nodded slowly. "Something warm. Like a light calling me." "That is her," the queen said. "Her memory, her emotions reaching out. You felt her, even without knowing why." Leo's eyes widened. "She was lonely?" "Yes," said the queen. "And now, because of you, she is not completely alone anymore. You heard her. You answered her call." Mark placed a hand on Leo's shoulder. "Son, you're amazing," he whispered. Leo blushed and looked at his sketchbook. He had drawn the cradle again, and it glowed softly under the floating rings. The queen's eyes followed it. "That cradle," the queen said, voice shaking slightly, "is hers. The one she was placed in at birth. I have never seen it again until now. You drew it, but how?" Leo shrugged. "I don't know. I saw it in my dream. It was like someone was showing me." The queen knelt down, touching Leo's hand lightly. "Your mind received hers. It is a rare gift. A bridge between two hearts, two worlds." He looked at Mark. "Your son may be the only human to ever experience this. He carries something extraordinary." Mark's heart raced. He felt proud but also worried. This was not normal. His son could be important in ways they could not yet understand. He looked at the queen, seeing something he had never seen before. A father, desperate, loving, and respectful, all at once. The queen studied Leo carefully. "There is more," he said quietly. "A hidden signal. A memory left in his mind, faint but present. It comes from the place where my child, where she waits." Mark frowned. "Waits? What do you mean?" "She is alive," the queen said slowly, his voice almost breaking. "Not fully but alive. Preserved in a hidden place. Your son's mind detected her presence." He responded. "That is why I came. That is why I stopped when I saw him." Leo's eyes widened. "Can we go to her?" The queen nodded. "If we follow the signal, yes. But it is dangerous. The path is unknown. And I cannot go alone. I need both of you. Your courage, your son's gift, together we can reach her." Mark swallowed hard. I don't know. We are just ordinary humans." The queen shook his head. "Ordinary? No. Humans can surprise the universe. Your son already has. That is why I believe you can help. That is why I asked you to come." Leo looked at his father and smiled faintly. "I want to help," he said simply. Mark sighed. He looked at the glowing rings, at the floating symbols, and at the alien monarch. Somehow he knew his life had changed forever. He nodded. "All right. We will go. Together." The queen smiled, a rare expression of relief. "Then we begin. The connection is strong, but the journey will test all of us. Are you ready?" Mark took a deep breath and held Leo's hand tighter. "Ready," he said. The queen extended his hand to Leo. The boy took it, feeling warmth and safety. The glowing rings pulsed around them. A soft hum filled the room as if the walls themselves were alive. Mark watched the scene and realized something remarkable. The universe was vast, mysterious, and full of power beyond imagination. Yet here, in this quiet room, a janitor and his son had touched the heart of a galactic ruler. And somehow that connection might change everything. The Queen's voice rang softly, almost a whisper, yet it carried through the room. Then we move forward. The strange connection has begun. Mark, Leo, and the alien Queen entered a room that felt alive. Soft lights floated in the air, forming rings and lines that moved gently like water. Panels on the walls showed strange symbols and colors that changed as they watched. The room hummed softly, a sound that made Mark's chest tighten. It was as if the place itself knew something important was happening. The Queen gestured for Leo to stand on the platform in the center. The rings hovered above him, glowing brighter as he stepped forward. Mark held his son's hand, feeling the warmth of the connection between them. Leo looked calm but curious, his eyes reflecting the colors of the floating lights. The Queen spoke softly, his voice full of awe. "Your son carries a resonance pattern," he said. "It is unique, almost impossible. This pattern matches my lost child, not in body but in emotion, in memory. It is a memory echo traveling across the stars." Mark frowned. "Memory echo? I still don't understand." The Queen shook his head slowly. "It is difficult to explain. When my child died, her emotions, her last thoughts, did not completely vanish. They lingered. Some minds, very rare, can sense them. Your son did." Leo tilted his head. "So, I felt her?" "Yes," the Queen said, kneeling near him. "Your heart answered hers. She wanted to be remembered. She wanted someone to know she existed. That is why I am here." Mark's heart pounded. He could feel the truth in the Queen's words. His quiet, thoughtful son had experienced something incredible, something no human was supposed to. He looked at Leo, who held his sketchbook tightly. The cradle drawing glowed faintly under the floating rings. The Queen studied Leo's mind carefully, using the machines that hovered around him. Soft lights scanned Leo, forming patterns that moved and changed. "There is more," the Queen said. "A hidden memory. A place where my child, where she waits." Mark's eyes widened. "Waits? What do you mean?" "She is not gone," the Queen said slowly. "Her life was preserved in a special chamber, hidden from the universe. She survived in a suspended state. Your son's mind detected her. He responded. That is why the connection is so strong." Leo's eyes grew wide. "Can we go to her?" The Queen nodded. "We can. But the place is far and it is dangerous. We must follow the signal from the memory. Your son's gift is the key. Without him, we cannot find her." Mark felt a mixture of fear and excitement. He was just a janitor. He had cleaned floors, scrubbed walls, and watched over his son. He was not a hero, not a soldier, not an explorer. But now he realized that ordinary people could do extraordinary things. His son was extraordinary. The Queen continued scanning. "Your son is safe," he said. "But the pattern in his mind, it shows traces of another presence. A faint echo of life. It is stable but fragile. If we move too fast, we could lose it." Mark tightened his grip on Leo's hand. "Fragile?" he asked. "Is she alive?" "Yes," the Queen said, his voice soft. "Alive but in a suspended state. Almost like sleep, but more than that. Time does not touch her in the same way. Only a careful approach will bring her back." Leo looked at the glowing rings around him. "I can help," he said quietly. "I can lead you to her." The Queen smiled faintly. "Yes, you can. That is why I came to you. Your son's mind can hear the signal. It is the only way. You are part of something greater than you know." Mark took a deep breath. We will do it," he said. He looked at his son, then at the Queen. "Together." The Queen nodded, his robes brushing the floor. "Then we begin preparations. The path is not simple and it will test us. Your son has already shown courage beyond his years. But the journey ahead, it will require all of us to trust one another." Leo glanced at his father. "We can do it, right?" he asked. "Yes, son," Mark said, squeezing his hand. "We can." The Queen walked toward a console, his fingers moving over glowing symbols. Maps of distant planets and moons appeared in the air. Lines connected points that Mark could barely understand. "The chamber where my child is preserved lies on a distant moon," he said. "The signals are faint, but your son can guide us. Only he can keep the memory echo alive long enough to reach her." Mark swallowed. He felt the weight of responsibility. Not just for his son but for a child who had been lost for years. A child waiting to be found. "Then we go," he said. The Queen looked at him with gratitude. "Your courage, it surprises me. Humans are capable of more than the universe believes. Your son has already proven that." Leo smiled shyly. "I just want to help." The Queen knelt once more, touching the boy's shoulder gently. "Then you will. And together we will bring her back." Mark watched as the lights around Leo pulsed gently, responding to the hidden memory within him. The strange connection was strong, but it was only the beginning. Beyond these walls, a hidden secret waited to be revealed, and their journey had just begun. Mark, Leo, and the alien Queen stepped into the ship. The walls glowed softly and strange panels lit up with symbols and maps. The air smelled faintly metallic but not unpleasant. Mark held his son's hand tightly. Leo looked around with wide eyes, fascinated by everything. He had never seen anything like this. The Queen led them to a command room at the front of the ship. It was filled with floating holograms and lights that moved with thought. Leo stepped forward, drawn to a panel that pulsed softly under his touch. The Queen watched him closely. "Only he can guide us," he said quietly to Mark. "His mind resonates with the memory echo. Without him we cannot find the chamber." Mark nodded, unsure if he understood everything but trusting the Queen. He felt proud of his son. Leo, normally quiet, seemed calm but determined. He reached out, touching a floating symbol, and the ship hummed in response. Lines of light traced paths through the stars, pointing toward a distant moon at the edge of the system. The Queen spoke, his voice low but firm. "We must travel carefully. The moon is in a hidden sector. Many dangers could be waiting. But the signal is strong. We follow your son's guidance." Leo nodded. "I can feel it," he said. "It's faint but it's there. Someone waiting." Mark looked at him. "Are you sure, son?" Leo smiled. "I feel it, Dad. I know we can help." The ship moved silently into space. Outside, stars flashed past like streaks of light. The walls of the ship seemed to vibrate softly, as if aware of the memory echo. Mark held Leo's hand, feeling the warmth and calm that his son gave him. Even the alien Queen, usually so commanding, walked quietly behind them, watching the boy. Hours passed. The ship glided through asteroid fields and silent voids. The Queen explained the path. "The moon is small, but the chamber is hidden under layers of ice and rock. Only a delicate approach will work. Your son's gift is our guide." Mark listened carefully, trying to understand. He had cleaned floors and mopped halls, but never traveled among stars guided by a child. He felt both fear and awe. He realized that humanity, even in its ordinary form, could touch the universe in ways no one expected. Finally, the ship approached the moon. It hung silently in space, a pale blue sphere with ice and craters. The ship's lights reflected off the surface. Leo's hand hovered over the panel. "There," he whispered. "The signal is strong. She's close." The Queen nodded. "Prepare for landing. Steady. The surface is fragile, and we cannot disturb the chamber by accident." The ship descended slowly, gliding over ice plains and rocky craters. Leo's hand guided the ship with gentle movements. The rings around him pulsed softly, responding to his thoughts. The Queen watched, his eyes filled with respect and wonder. "Your son's mind is remarkable," he said to Mark. "He has already saved what remains of my family." Mark glanced at his son, who was focused and calm. "I know," he whispered to himself. "I see it." The ship landed softly on the moon's surface. Dust and ice swirled outside, but the interior remained calm. The Queen led the way as they stepped onto the frozen ground. Leo walked beside Mark, holding his father's hand, and the boy's small figure seemed larger than life. They followed the faint glow that Leo sensed. The surface was quiet, almost too quiet. Cracks in the ice reflected the pale light of distant stars. The Queen gestured for them to move slowly. "The chamber lies beneath," he said. "The memory echo has led us here, but we must proceed carefully." Leo knelt and touched the ice lightly. The glow pulsed stronger under his fingertips. "It's here," he whispered. "She's waiting below." Mark felt his heart race. He had never imagined his son would guide them to a lost child across the stars. The Queen placed a hand on his shoulder. "Your son's courage is extraordinary. Trust him. Together we will find her." They descended through a narrow tunnel beneath the ice. Strange lights shimmered on the walls, responding to Leo's presence. The Queen moved quietly, respectful of the delicate surroundings. Mark followed, his heart full of wonder and fear. At last, they reached a chamber filled with a soft, glowing light. A small pod floated in the center, shimmering faintly. Leo approached it slowly. "She's here," he whispered. "I can feel her." The queen knelt beside the pod, eyes wide. "My child, alive," he said, his voice trembling with awe. "We found her." Mark watched, feeling a mixture of relief and amazement. His son had led them across the stars to a hidden place. A child lost for years was now within reach. The memory echo had guided them, and the boy had answered its call. Leo reached out, placing his hand near the glowing pod. The light pulsed gently, almost as if responding to his touch. The queen's eyes filled with hope. "Together we will bring her back," he said softly. Mark smiled at his son. "You did this, Leo. You saved her." Leo looked at him and smiled shyly. "I just followed the signal," he said. The queen nodded, placing a hand on Leo's shoulder. "You have done more than follow. You have restored hope. You have changed the course of fate." Mark realized then that even ordinary humans could leave an extraordinary mark on the universe. A janitor and his son had traveled across the stars, guided by courage, love, and a strange connection. And at the center of it all, a hidden secret waited to be revealed. Leo stepped closer to the glowing pod. Mark followed, holding his son's hand tightly. The alien queen knelt beside the pod, his eyes wide with wonder. The light inside pulsed gently like a heartbeat. Mark could feel it even from a distance, a soft warmth that filled the cold chamber. "This is her," the queen whispered. "My child, preserved all these years." His voice trembled, but there was hope in it now. For the first time in decades he felt relief. He had searched the galaxy, but only this boy had led him here. Leo knelt and touched the pod lightly. The glow brightened, responding to his presence. He could feel a faint heartbeat, slow but steady. "She's alive," he said quietly. "But weak. She needs help." The queen placed a hand gently on Leo's shoulder. "Your son's gift brought us here," he said. "Only he can guide her back to life. The memory echo connects them. If we move carefully, she will awaken." Mark looked at the pod, at the soft glow inside. He had never imagined his son could do something like this. A janitor and a boy, guiding a galactic ruler to his lost child across the stars. It was impossible, yet here they were. He felt pride, fear, and awe all at once. The queen studied the pod. "It is delicate. We cannot rush. We must stabilize her slowly." He placed his hands near the pod, letting energy flow between him, Leo, and the child inside. The glow pulsed brighter, then dimmed, then brightened again like a wave. Leo's hand hovered over the pod, sensing the rhythm. "I can feel her," he said softly. "She wants to live." Mark nodded. "Then we help her." The queen smiled faintly. "Together we will restore her. Your son gave her a chance. You, Mark, gave him courage. This is how it must be done. Carefully, with love and patience." For hours they worked. The queen channeled energy, Leo guided it with his mind, and Mark offered words of encouragement. Slowly the light inside the pod stabilized. The faint heartbeat grew stronger, steady and sure. Mark felt tears prick his eyes. His son, small and quiet, had changed the fate of a lost child. Finally the glow settled into a soft, steady light. The pod opened gently, and inside the child floated, small and fragile but alive. Her eyes blinked slowly, adjusting to the light. She looked around, confused but aware. The queen leaned closer. "Child, you are safe now," he said softly. His voice carried warmth and relief. "You are home." Leo reached out his hand. "Hello," he said simply. "I helped you." The child blinked at him, then smiled faintly. The connection between them was clear. She recognized the boy who had guided her back. The queen's eyes filled with tears, and he lifted the child carefully. "Thank you," he whispered to Mark and Leo. "You saved her. You saved my family." Mark felt a mix of awe and relief. He had never imagined that his simple life could touch the stars. And yet here it was. His son, a boy with a quiet heart and a strong mind, had done something extraordinary. The queen turned to Mark. "Your son has restored what I thought was lost forever. You have both shown courage beyond understanding. The galaxy will remember this even if humans do not." Mark shook his head. "We only wanted to help. That's all." The queen smiled. "Helping is enough. But know this, ordinary actions can shape the universe. Your son proved that tonight." Leo smiled shyly. "I just wanted to follow the signal," he said. The queen knelt, holding the child close. "And that signal, it changed everything. You, Leo, are part of our family now. And Mark, you are honored as well." Your courage, your care, and your love brought hope where there was none. Mark felt warmth in his chest. The janitor, the boy, and the queen, together they had achieved what few could imagine. Across the stars, a child who was lost was now safe, and the bond they shared would remain forever. The queen placed the child on a soft platform near Leo. She reached out her tiny hand and Leo held it gently. The glow of the pod faded, but the warmth of their connection stayed. Your son will always be welcome in my household, the queen said, and I will protect him as I would my own. We are bound now, across worlds, by courage and care. Mark looked at Leo. You did it, he said softly. Leo smiled, hugging his father. We did it together, he said. The queen looked out of the chamber window. Stars streaked past as the ship prepared to leave the moon. He spoke softly, almost to himself. The promise is kept. The lost child is found. The future is brighter. Mark felt a sense of peace. Their journey had begun with a simple connection, a memory echo, a dream, a sketch. And it had led them to something incredible. Humanity, though small in the galaxy, had made a difference. Leo held the child's hand gently, looking out at the stars. Mark followed, holding his son's shoulder. The alien queen stood nearby, watching them with respect and gratitude. And together they left the moon behind, carrying hope, courage, and a promise that would last across the stars.